Hello, clever people, and welcome to my review for Thor Ragnarok. So Thor Ragnarok is brought to us by Taika Waititi, who is the director of What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for the Wilder People. Both are movies that I really adore, but I especially adore Hunt for the Wilder People. That was one of my favorite movies last year. I absolutely love it. So this film follows our protagonist, Thor, as he has this hammer. The hammer that he uses to wield his power is shattered by a person who is going to commit Ragnarok on Asgard, which is the place that he lives. And Ragnarok is basically an extinction level event that will kill all of the Asgard people. But after his hammer is destroyed, he is banished off to an off-world place where there are a lot of junkers, there's a lot of robbers, and it's basically, they all revolve around one giant tournament, and the tournament is where two people fight, and a lot of people place bets on it, and Thor is sent there, and he is sent to fight the Hulk. But when he sees the Hulk, he gains companionship with him, and then they go off on an adventure trying to stop Ragnarok from happening and trying to save his people. I was really hyped for Thor Ragnarok. On top of that, you also had the reviews, which were stunning. Everyone was saying it was a complete blast, it was super fun, everybody was loving it. So I went in with really high expectations, despite the fact that I did not like the previous two Thor installments. And I came out of Thor Ragnarok underwhelmed, but I still had a good time. Thor Ragnarok is definitely a good movie. I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was really entertaining. And the moments when Taika Waititi gets to shine, when he gets to show his vision and what he wants to do, such as the opening scene of the movie, those were the best moments for me. What was really a big letdown with this movie is that Marvel did not give Taika Waititi enough creative freedom. It really felt like they took him in and they said that he could do whatever he wanted, that he could have a blast of a film, but that he needed to include these plot points and that it needed to tie into the MCU in this way. And because he was given those restraints, he wasn't able to fully show his vision. And because of that, the movie has a weird combination of being kind of stale at times and then being super fun and super fresh at others. It's a really weird juxtaposition and contrast that I enjoyed watching, but it ended up making the movie feel very uneven and very weird. The movie tries to rely on the fact that we are already invested in Thor, because it basically takes our hero that we've built up as the god of thunder, as someone extremely strong, and taken him down to his bare roots, so all he has is his strength and his charisma, basically. And then from that, he learns and develops, and it's basically your generic character arc, where a character loses everything, and then tries to regain it. And unfortunately, that type of subplot relies on the fact that you're already invested in the character going through that arc. Unfortunately, this movie suffers due to the last Thor installments, where the character development was very weak, and you didn't really care about him at all. I went into this movie not caring about Thor, and I came out not caring about Thor. And that was an issue with me, because I really wanted to care a lot about Thor, to be excited for his new movie after this, since they were going in what seemed to be a completely different path. But really, Thor Ragnarok feels like a generic Marvel movie. That was my other big issue, is that Marvel has this tried and true formula where they can make a film, they have all the plot points set up, and they basically just need a director to do the icing on the cake, where it will appeal to a wide demographic of people, it will make a lot of money opening weekend, and it will entertain people and get generally good reviews. They have that type of formula down, but this year in particular, they've been branching out from that formula. They had Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which was very different from it. They gave James Gunn a lot of creative freedom, and he created something that, while structurally was imbalanced, it was very ambitious. You also had Spider-Man Homecoming, which did take that premise, but took it to new places that it hadn't really gone before, and made something more entertaining than I was really expecting. Because of that, I thought Thor Ragnarok was also going to be something new and fresh, but unfortunately it wasn't. From the looks of the trailers and the posters and everything, I thought that we were going to get like a concert movie that had loud rock music and awesome action sequences, and that was thoroughly entertaining throughout. And also because of the posters, they all had kind of like a Bollywood vibe to them, so I thought that we were going to get kind of like a Bollywood look in the Marvel Universe, and that was the reason I was so excited going into it. I thought you were going to get something that was stylistically and creatively different. Unfortunately, it doesn't really do any of that. It follows the same generic formula, and when Taika Waititi gets his moments to shine and gets his moments to show some really awesome action sequences and some just completely bright and terrific colors and a beautiful aesthetic, you really do get a great sense of the movie and what the director wants to do. Unfortunately, it just feels bogged down by the fact that it was following the generic Marvel formula. I have been saying a lot of negative stuff, and that's not what I want to focus on in this review, because this movie is still really, really good. Not only is it extremely entertaining, but everything encapsulating its entertainment works out perfectly. The colors are bright and terrific. They look beautiful on screen. The scope is grand and extremely entertaining. The worlds are fun and creative and intuitive. And the adventure is just all in all exciting. And watching this movie was an absolute blast. It was so much fun to watch these characters go on an adventure like this, because it was very different for Thor, it was very different for Hulk, and the characters that they met were all very entertaining. And the way that they incorporated Loki into this movie wasn't too much, but it was just the right amount, and I really appreciated the way that they balanced that. The best way to describe this movie, I would say, is that it's kind of like if Marvel took Star Trek and Guardians of the Galaxy and combined them together and then added some Taika Waititi to it. That's how I would describe the vibe of this movie. Because when they go off to the off-world place and they're having their adventure there, it feels very reminiscent of Star Trek, but like a more bright version of Star Trek and a more modern and entertaining version of it. And that was really exciting and awesome to see. And also the acting in this film was very, very great. It's the best Chris Hemsworth has ever been as Thor. It's the best that Mark Ruffalo has ever been as Hulk. This is the best acting that we've gotten in a Marvel Cinematic Universe film in quite a while. And that's not saying much, because the acting in other Marvel films isn't necessarily top-notch, but this is the best that I've seen in a while, maybe even of all time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe in terms of acting. Again, this is not a bad movie. I enjoy it a lot. I just think that it could have been so much better. I think that I could be sitting here raving about this movie, telling you to go see it, and be giving it like an 8.5 or a 9 if Taika Waititi was given complete creative freedom and able to do whatever he wanted. But he felt sort of constricted and stuff. And that's not because of the fact that they had a linkage to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This movie actually felt very separate from it other than some references, but they do tie it in some ways, which is understandable for why, but it feels like Marvel gave him the structure of this movie, and that's not what should have happened. He should have made something whimsical and insane and structurally just all over the place, and that would have been entertaining and awesome. But unfortunately, you're stuck with a movie like this that is good, that is enjoyable, but is just extremely flawed. I will give Thor Ragnarok a 6.5 out of 10. Alright, that concludes my review for Thor Ragnarok. What are your thoughts on this film, or what do you think of the other Thor installments? Do you think they're as boring as I think they are? Comment in the comment section below and let me know. I'm Robert Burke, and this has been The Clever Critics. Goodbye.